being here tonight. We are going to start our meeting. We're going to call the meeting to order and start with our flag salute.
Of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, can we have a roll call, please?
Director Cross,
Here.
Director Hubbard,
Present.
Director Womack,
Present.
Vice President Sisenia,
Here.
President Porkroy.
I'm here. Thank you. Well, yeah, thank you everybody for coming. Looks like we have quite a bit of participation, so we really appreciate that. Um, our first and only order of business tonight is our general action item calling a special district election in June. Um, and let's start that presentation.
All right, thank you very much. As you said, this is to call for a special election for the June 2nd, 2026 election, requesting consolidation of the special election with the statewide primary on that date, and order that the Citizens Initiative to impose a special fire tax for Los Osos Parks and Recreation be submitted to the voters. Our General Counsel, Craig, and I have been working on this, and I'm going to actually turn it over to Craig for the presentation.
Thank you, Kim. There we go. Thank you, President, Chair, members of the board. Happy to be with you this evening to walk through the staff report for the three actions that are together in this agenda item. And give you a little bit of background on the issue. That you'll recall in early 2025, the board directed your staff and our office to engage with the school district regarding interest in acquiring the Sunnyside School site, which had been declared to be surplus by the school district. We expressed interest at the time, started a process and a timeline of potential discussions regarding the acquisition of that site, and those discussions are ongoing. Following community engagement regarding the possibility of the CSD acquiring that site, an independent citizens group formed to explore possible ways to raise funds to acquire the site. And on its own initiative, without any involvement by this board, the group drafted a proposal for a special tax to provide revenue for the CSD to acquire the site, and on an ongoing basis provide revenue to allow for the operation and maintenance of a community park and recreation facility on the site. The group circulated an initiative petition, which requires the collection of signatures of registered voters in the district. And that initiative petition proposed a special tax that was kind of a two-tier special tax. One is it starts off at $185 per parcel for the first 15 years, and there's an $85 component there for the to provide revenue to acquire the site. And then after 15 years, that $85 amount drops off, and there's an ongoing $100 a year parcel tax with an inflation adjustment provision that goes on indefinitely to provide the revenue that the district would need to maintain the site, operate the site, as well as provide parks and recreation opportunities within the district. As we said, the CSD board was not involved with the group's efforts. We were aware of them. We did not draft this proposal. This was drafted by the citizens group. Late in December, I think almost the last day of December, we received from the county clerk registrar recorder's office a certificate of sufficiency. They had had the petitions submitted to them for verification of the signatures. They took a couple of weeks to do that verification process. And then the RV's office certified that there were sufficient signatures on the petition for it to be presented to you for a decision on calling an election on the proposal. That certificate is attached in your staff report. So under Elections Code Sections 9310 and 1405B, the board has the now essentially the obligation to call it election because we don't believe that a tax can be adopted simply just by you adopting this ordinance, as would normally be the case with an initiative. So it has to be voted on in order for it to be imposed. But under 1405B, you can decide whether to call a special election in June or to wait for the regular election in November. For a variety of reasons, the proponents have requested a special election, and in terms of the potential transaction to acquire the site, the timing in June would be much better than waiting until November because the revenue sort of obviously trails the adoption of the measure if it's adopted. So the proposal before you is to call a special election for June the 2nd. And that would be an election throughout the district. But as you know, there's a statewide primary being held on the same date. And under the provisions of the Elections Code, we can ask that the Board of Supervisors conduct the election and do what's called a consolidation, which is they're having an election in Los Osos already for some other offices and ballot measures. They put this on and conduct the election for the CSD as if it's one big election. So that request has to go to the Board of Supervisors. There's a suggested deadline from the county clerk's office of tomorrow to have that request submitted. That's why you're having a special meeting tonight. The statutory deadline is several weeks from now, so we're still within that, but we obviously would like to stay on good footing with the county clerk's office and meet all of their recommended deadlines if in fact the board is going to choose the special election option. We're continuing to work with staff, with the school district, their staff and their council to develop a proposal for an agreement for the acquisition of the site. We've had some really good discussions on a structure and moving that process forward, and the school district is very motivated and interested to work with the CSD and find a way to keep that asset in the community. So we're hoping, we're committed among the lawyers to have a proposal before both boards for consideration sometime in the spring. And so this revenue measure would sort of follow along with that to give the district the ability to raise the revenue necessary to acquire the site if that agreement is in fact approved. So staff recommendation is to approve the two resolutions that are before you, 2026-02 and 2026-03. 02 calls the special election and asks that the Board of Supervisors agree to the consolidation. And 03 is the resolution that approves the text of the measure and asks that the county put that on the ballot. And there is a ballot question in 2026-03, which is a proposal. You'll see it in the box in the resolution, and it's the proposed language that would appear on the ballot. There is some discretion for the board to consider that language if you want to make any adjustments to it. It's kind of my working with Ron, my sort of best effort at what the question should look like. We are limited to 75 words. And so that question is 74, I believe, and includes all of the elements that the law says it has to include. So with that, that concludes the staff report. Be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. I think first of all, I wanted to just express my appreciation for the citizens group and the hard work and the organization that they put together. I think that was a big lift, and they did a really good job. So bringing that back to the board, does anybody have any questions for Craig or comments?
I do have one comment too, actually. Resolution 02, Section 2, there's a reference to an election to be held on June 2nd, 2025.
Oh, should be 2026.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, just and then above that, it mentions 26.
Yeah.
So that would probably take precedence.
Change
but
that.
Just wanted to make sure I did read it. And in the interest of full disclosure, I did sit at the ale house one night with the petition and gather signatures. I did not identify myself as a member of the CSD. I was confident that the number of signatures gathered would not have been enough to affect the numbers that came out from the clerk. So but I do want to say that because we talked about us not being involved.
Sure.
Certainly wasn't worth the tab I ran at that night.
Well, and also I made reference to the board as a whole. Individual board members, I'm sure, may have signed it, may have had individual activities, but as a board,
No name
not
tag.
been involved.
Craig, do we have any feel of the Board of Supervisors agreeing to consolidate the whole shoot match in June?
It would be really unusual for them to not agree to it. There'd have to be a significant reason, like they don't have the capacity on the ballot for them to not agree, especially given that we're meeting their recommended deadline, not the statutory deadline, which is much later. So it would be really unusual for them to not agree to it.
So we have a good feeling about
Yeah.
that. Okay.
And in response to that, we did get a public comment from Bruce Gibson saying that he will support us for any necessary action taken at the Board of Supervisors, assuming this is approved. So hopefully that eases some anxiety regarding that.
Okay, well, I think we're probably gonna have some public comment. So before we do that, I just, wanted to point out again that a citizens group gathered the signatures to do this, and we're just the vehicle to get it on the ballot. So the voters of Los Osos get to decide whether or not we move forward with this.
Correct.
So that's what's being decided here. So for public comment is 3 minutes, and you're going to come up to the podium. And there's a green, yellow, red. So greens go, yellow, you're getting close, red, the 3 minutes are up. And please state your name for our record. So with that, I will open this discussion for public comment.
We are going to do public comment in the boardroom first. If you are online, raise your hand. We'll do you second. And then I do have multiple to read at the end.
Okay. Yeah, do you have any online, Laura?
As of right now, there are none online. So if you want a public comment, you're online, please raise your hand.
Okay, we have one in the boardroom.
Couple.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Charlotte Bartlett, and I appreciate everything that you guys are doing. The coalition has been marvelous in this, and I just hope that we can pass this through so that we're able to vote in June. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Karen Kimura. And on my way here, I had to drop my 6-year-old granddaughter off at her mom's office, and she wanted to know why I was dropping her off early. I said I was coming to this meeting, and she said, "What's the meeting about?" And I said, "About parks." And she said, "Well, are there going to be any kids there?" And I said, "I don't think so, but luckily we have some kids." And she said, "Because kids know the most about parks and how important they are." Okay, so I want to thank you for calling the special meeting and for everything that you guys have helped with questions and all of that regarding the purchase of Sunnyside School to become Sunnyside Park. A lot of work has been done this far by many of the amazing citizens of Los Osos. In 52 days, the Sunnyside Park Citizens Coalition has collected the signatures of 1,500 citizens who feel that it's important for the community of Los Osos to have the opportunity to vote on whether they support imposing a special tax that will allow the acquisition of Sunnyside School, that will create more park space for active recreation, a safe place for the community of Los Osos to gather. Please support letting the great community of Los Osos have a vote by putting this on the ballot. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Edwards, and it appears clear that you're going to forward this to the voters for consideration. Unfortunately, this is going to them with a number of misrepresentations. I'll start with the financing scheme and direct your attention to the resolution 2026-03, Exhibit A. And in section 3, it talks about the tax rate and method of apportionment under subsection B. It references, this is what the money is going to go for: improvements, operations, and maintenance costs. And goes on to talk about the $100 per parcel per year being apportioned toward park improvements, operation, and maintenance costs. Well, we know there is no money in this proposal for improvements. There's zero money. That's clear. And this district paid the Wallace Group for an analysis. And when they did that analysis, they determined that a minimum of $5 to $6 million of improvements were going to be needed. That's not included. I believe that's a misrepresentation regarding the financing. You're going to end up with a property that you're going to have to take care of, but you don't have any money to improve. The operation and maintenance aspect of this, I believe, is inadequate. What are you going to do if you don't have enough money to take care of the property? You know, the buildings that quite possibly have lead-based paint, asbestos. The property improvements are a liability. Then we talk about this, and I heard a lot of mentions that the Citizens Coalition, that's a fabrication. This district advanced this ballot measure. Your fingerprints as a district are all over it. And I would disagree with your counsel that it requires a simple majority. I believe this requires a super majority of 66%. Then on a couple miscellaneous notes, you're representing this is going to be a park. That property is not suitable for a park. Right now, there's 2 acres of turf. Are you going to start tearing up asphalt? The topography is not suitable for parks and recreation. There's a 50-foot elevation change from top to bottom. So it's not good park property. Why, if you're really sincere about parks and rec, go find a good park property, one that's flat. Then there's the question of district priorities. And I've spoke about that before. The water situation. You have a 2.7-mile pipeline to build. You've got water rights to secure. The fire situation. The ratepayers, the taxpayers are already overly burdened, and you want to saddle them with more. It just doesn't make sense to me. If you want to advance this ballot initiative, at least be represented in a fair way. Tell the truth to the citizens and the voters. Thank you.
Okay, Laura, do we have, oh, more in the boardroom.
Hi, I'm Trish Bartel. I'm part of the coalition, and we have worked really hard to try to get people to sign the petition. We have talked to over 2,000 people. Really, the only complaints that we've heard is, why is the county not paying for this? We can't get the county to pay for this. That's why we're here. We are going to be starting to do fundraising. So the fundraising will help with the operational costs and with playground equipment and anything else it needs. So I just want to encourage y'all to approve this and get this on the ballot for June 2nd.
Thank you.
Good evening, Ashley Smith, member of the Sunnyside Citizens Coalition, president of Los Osos Valley Garden Club, and a member of Surfside Tennis Club. On behalf of the Los Osos Valley Garden Club, we'd like you to know that our board supports the adoption of these resolutions and preserving as much green space for Los Osos as possible, specifically active community space. We also ask that the CSD encourage consistent Parks and Rec committee meetings and those be open to the public. As an individual and member of Sunnyside Citizens Coalition, I thank you for holding this special meeting and for recognizing our citizens' initiative. I ask that the Los Osos Community Service District Board please approve resolution number 2026-02 and 2026-03 to call a special district election to be held on June 2nd, 2026, to submit a ballot initiative to the voters and request the Board of Supervisors consent to the consolidation of the special election with the statewide primary election to be conducted on the same date. The citizens deserve to vote. I think this will be a great next step for getting more citizens involved. And I also ask that you remember what Los Osos citizens specifically have done when it comes to South Bay Community Center, the Red Barn. The people here will step up, help maintain this property, and it would be good for all citizens. So thank you.
Okay, Laura, do we have any online comments?
We do not, but I do have quite a few to read.
Okay, let's start that process.
Perfect. The first one is from Kaija. She says, "Hello, I'm a Los Osos resident and I am in favor of Sunnyside Park." The next is Elise. She says, "I agree to keeping Sunnyside for our future in Los Osos." Julia Bartlett says, "Sunnyside is the perfect addition for a park in Los Osos." Dr. Michael Roof says, "As a 25-year resident and educational professional, I can't emphasize enough how much keeping Sunnyside Park open is for the people of Los Osos. It serves multiple purposes for all age groups, especially for families and youth. I strongly encourage you to include this proposal on the election ballot." From Lynn Robinette says, "Hello, I would like to voice my support for a community space at the Sunnyside site. Thank you for all your good work on behalf of our community." Thomas Bartlett says, "The community needs Sunnyside Park. The families in the area need Sunnyside Park. All these kids you see running around need Sunnyside Park. Let's vote yes for Sunnyside Park. Allow us to vote yes for Sunnyside Park." Rena Buck McLeod says, "I am a Los Osos resident and would like to please voice my support of making Sunnyside a park." Sally Ames says, "I strongly support putting Sunnyside Park on the ballot. I have lived in Los Osos since 1978 and need for a new park has always been a priority. Thank you for your consideration." Barbara Rosenthal says, "I am strongly in favor of the CSD purchasing Sunnyside. I also think there should be as few restrictions as possible on how it will be used. Needs and interests may change over time. Some commercial development could be part of the use to generate income to support a park and other free public uses. Many of the existing buildings are useful as they stand. It would be wasteful to tear it all down." Pandora Nash Carner says, Honorable board members and staff, I cannot attend Monday's meeting. However, I hope you can use this email as my public comment. For 34 years, I was the District 2 County Park Commissioner, which includes the Los Osos. In all that time, with the exceptions of the skate park and a few smaller projects, the county was unsuccessful in providing any new park and recreational space for residents and visitors. The reason was always the same: we don't have the money. While the National Recreation and Park Association suggests a range of 6.25 to 10.25 total parks acre per 1,000 residents, the San Luis Obispo County General Plan and the updated Los Osos Community Plan only aims for 3 acres per 1,000 residents. Assuming our population of 15,000 and the Los Osos Community Park has 6.2 acres, minus the space for parking in the community center. Minimally, we need at least 45 acres to address the severe deficit in active park facilities in Los Osos. This lack of availability forces residents to go without or to travel to other areas for recreation, dedicated fields for youth sports, playgrounds, pickleball, tennis courts, open space, etc. As you know, parks are vital on many levels. They are gathering places, foster social connections, help define a town's character, make neighborhoods more vibrant and connected, and increase property values. Parks provide safe spaces for people of all ages to gather, recreate, and exercise while offering habitats for wildlife and help connect residents with nature. The Sunnyside Park Coalition has done a masterful job in gathering verified signatures to place this issue on the June 2nd, 2026 ballot. I personally experienced a great deal of enthusiastic support for Sunnyside Park while I was asking for signatures. Please approve resolution number 202602 and 202603 to call a special district election to be held on June 2nd to submit a ballot initiative to the voters and request the Board of Supervisors consent to the consolidation of the special election with the statewide primary election to be conducted on the same date. Thank you. Supervisor Bruce Gibson says, "Hi all, I'm excited and impressed with your board that your board is considering this matter this evening. Many thanks and congratulations to all those who have moved this project forward. With the assumed approval, please know that I stand ready to help get the necessary action taken at the Board of Supervisors." Cindy Hayner says, "I am asking you to support in putting Sunnyside Park on the ballot measure." And David Keatle says, him and Shelly Marks says, "We both support the citizens' initiative to impose a special tax for Los Osos parks and recreation and the purchase of the former Sunnyside school property for community use." And that is all the online emailed in comments.
Okay, thank you, Laura. Good job reading all those. We'll bring it back to the board for.
One did come in online. Would you like me to let them speak?
Sure, yep.
All right, Eli, you just have to unmute yourself.
Okay, this is Eli Mafshed. I'm the president of the Central Coast Waldorf School, and I support this resolution for the special district election. The school employs over 20 people in Los Osos. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Okay, with that, we'll bring it back to the board for any further discussion or comments. I know, this is just the beginning, basically, of potentially a much larger endeavor as far as planning and master planning. Good foundation was set with the work that we did with the Wallace Group earlier this year, but that's just the very surface. So yeah, there is a lot of planning still to do. Okay, with that, back to the board for discussion, or I'll definitely entertain a motion.
I would like to make a comment maybe before the motion. And I'm not sure that the speaker was old enough to really appreciate what she said, all the way back to the community center. This community has stepped up. This is the only community center in the county that does not accept, or we would accept probably, but is not funded by any kind of government revenues. It's all raised here in this community. This is how we do things here, if we care about it. And it seems that people care about it. So, anybody else want to make the motion?
Well, I just wanted to comment a little bit here. Like Matt said, this is the first step, and I think we have not, in my feeling is we have not misled anybody about this at all. Our goal was to get the measure on the ballot strictly to get it purchased. After that, it's going to take a while to do what we want to do to that property. Like I don't, they say, I wasn't born last night, but I realize a lot of the stuff that's going on here, and we definitely, and I think the people of Las Osas too will show a lot of patience in getting this done. But again, this first step is merely to get the property purchased. After that, then we can decide, or we will be faced with the task of doing whatever improvements we can with whatever money we have. But it's not going to happen overnight. Everything that we want to do, it's going to be a long, slow process. I hope I live long enough to see it, but I know my grandson will, and I'm just appreciative that everybody came out And it sounds like we got a lot of good support for this, and I'm looking forward to seeing it on the ballot.
Okay. Any other comments? Pieces?
I appreciate those because this is, and this is the start of a lift. But the community has done it before.
Okay. Anybody want to throw a motion out there?
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
I move the board approve resolution number 2026-02 and 2026-03 to call a special district election to be held on June 2nd, 2026, to submit a ballot initiative to the voters and request that the Board of Supervisors consent to the consolidation of the special election with the statewide primary election to be conducted on the same date.
I will second that.
Okay, Laura, can we have a roll call, please?
Yes, Director Cross,
Yes.
Director Hubbard,
Yes.
Director Womack,
Yes.
Vice President Sesenia,
Yes.
President Forkroy.
Yes. Okay, well, thank you everybody for coming out tonight. And thank you for all the hard work behind the scenes, Ron and Greg too. All right, with that, meeting adjourned.